50 miles east of Los Angeles is the largest county fairgrounds in the country. But for 5 days in February, it's Mecca for drag racing fans. 60,000 strong, they come to the Winternational Drag. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Economaki. Behind the main grandstands here at Pomona, they reflect one of the major points of interest that drag racing holds for spectators. For only in drag racing can a fan get up whenever he wants, walk out of the stands and into the pit area. In today's case, a 200-acre one that amounts to an exotic car show and an automotive bazaar. And once in the vast pit and staging area, the fan can eyeball the competing cars, the crews, the drivers, the girls, have a beer, get an autograph, think about perhaps buying a car. For it is this openness that has helped make drag racing one of the most popular forms of motorsports in the country, with an annual spectator turnout of 5 million. And they're all here for the 20th anniversary running of the National Hot Rod Association's Winternationals, with $410,000 in prizes at stake and over 600 entrants seeking fame and glory as they try to make time stand still.
Chevrolet, this place will be bedlam.
Well, they both had some comparable times. Sox, to get to the finals, had a 9.85, and Booth a 9.87.
Ronnie Sox was either winner or runner-up of every major NHRA event in 1970.
Look at the crowd beginning to come on to watch them.
Even the horseback officers are trying to get to a vantage point where they can see this race. Wally Booth, the crowd is being polled as to their favorites, and Booth outdrew Sox 3-1, but that's normal for the Chevrolets. They just seem to have more fans. Booth is staged. The biggest day in his drag racing career, the biggest moment. It's a green light start. Sox has an immediate advantage. The Chevrolet trying to catch it. He's not going to do it.
No way.
The king of pro stock.
Come up in the staging area to toe the line. 2,200 horsepower under the hoods of these plastic body cars. There's the staging lights. It goes from yellow to green. There's no warning. Alertness and the start is the key to success in drag racing, many will tell you. And they're off. Bernstein in the far side takes, and Harris's car explodes. His windshield is broken. His supercharger went off. Bernstein goes on to win. A tough break for the Pennsylvanian. Let's have another look. Here he comes down the line. There's the flame. The supercharger goes way up. These cars are built for safety, and so is the gear the drivers wear. We suspect he's okay. We spoke earlier of the dangers of funny car racing, and that spectacular explosion of Roy Harris's car bears it out. The car is back in the pits now. Let's have a look at the damage. Between this and the engine itself was a supercharger before a 150-mile-an-hour backfire we saw going down the track. Now let's take a look at what a full-size supercharger looks like. Here's one here. The bottom part weighs 70 pounds. After the explosion, all that was left on this car was this part of the supercharger. From here forward, gone like shrapnel from a hand grenade down the drag strip. Now let's have a word with the driver, Roy Harris, a 15-year veteran. Roy, that ever happened to you before?
No, that's the first time we ever had a blower explosion.
What was it like at the wheel when it went off?
Well, it was a loud explosion, and you know, I knew it was very disappointing.
What about yourself? Did any of the pieces get to you?
No, everything stayed outside of the car. It just blows it up and away.
Okay, let's take a look at the windshield and hood area where the parts exploded. A dramatic testimony to the violence of the explosion in funny car racing. And a testimony to the safety. Look at that supercharger up in the air, bouncing down.
Dragster engine. It's an unblown engine. We've seen it several times today. We've seen it clock the quickest elapsed time ever for a car of this type. Don Enriquez, and Enriquez also won the Super Nationals in November. Our Super Nationals winners, even though they're getting into the finals here at Pomona, are having a hard time making it 2 in a row. Gene Adams with the baseball cap on, wiping down that tire, and he says, "Flog it out, Don." And here's Steve Woods, the competition from Fremont, California. The national record holder in the double B gas supercharged class, Steve and Rhonda Woods. Supercharged Chrysler, a 4-door prefix body. This will be a long, long handicap. Steve Woods will be almost at the 1/8 of a mile before Enriquez is allowed to leave.
They were showing the handicap to the two drivers there, and apparently, Steve, they both agree that's what it should be.
The pre-staging lights are lit. Enriquez is staged. Woods is staged. Starter Buster Couch triggers the Christmas tree. A green light for Steve Woods. A green light for Don Enriquez. And watch this fuel-burning Chrysler move in the mid-range. Look at that.
Boy, did he come. Whoa.
Don Enriquez. 7.34 seconds. Steve Woods just about got his doors blown off when Don Enriquez came around him. Incredible performance, Adams and Enriquez.
199.11 miles per hour. And in that last eighth of a mile, Enriquez really turned it on.
Murph Littlefield in the funny car. Takes off from the starting line. His car gets out of control. Hits the guardrail. His body flips off. A fire. Luckily, he's unharmed. The track rescue unit there immediately to put out the fire to make sure he's not hurt. Murph Littlefield, consoled by a very concerned, emotional wife. I wonder if they're thinking about the next time he has to attack that quarter of a mile.
Tough break for the Canadian. It's not an animal in a cage in a zoo, but it's Kenny Bernstein coming back to drag racing. He goes against Dale Pulley. Bernstein was a racer several years ago, took a lot of time off to run a chain of restaurants in Texas, while Pulley, a youngster from Van Nuys, California, admits to getting his drag racing start midnight riding on Van Nuys Boulevard. It's Pulley in the far lane, Bernstein in the near lane. As they come up, that's Buster Couch, the man with the soundproof ears, waiting to send them on their way. Waiting for the lights to flash. And off they go, and Pulley takes a quick lead, but bobbles, and Bernstein gets sideways, swerves, hits the fence, tears the right side off his car. Pulley slows way down, and Bernstein crosses the line first. What a dramatic day of drag racing we're having here at Pomona. It's unbelievable. Something happens in almost every round, and Bernstein cannot possibly make the finals with his car in that shape. Pulley coasts across behind him. Let's take another look. They're saying now that Pulley is the winner. All right, here they are. Pulley gets off, bobbles, and then Bernstein's car swerves. He crosses the line. That's an automatic disqualification. Hits the fence, tears the fiberwork off the side of his car, opens his parachute. We'll be back in 1 minute to talk with this ex-restaurateur. Despite the violence and speed of the Bernstein accident, the damage to his car was confined primarily to the fiberglass bodywork that shrouds this alcohol-burning car. He was a lucky man. Here he is now.
Now it's probably too good.
Kenny, it was wild to watch. What caused it?
Well, the first thing that happened was the car shook violently, very hard. The tires shook, and when that happens, it's difficult to see what's going on inside the cockpit. And there's like 2 or 3 variations of shake. Most of the time they shake, and it's just enough you can go ahead and drive through it, and it doesn't bother you. But there's a violent shake, what I call violent, and that was a violent shake. The problem I did was I drove it a little too far in the shake, and she got a little out of control, and I should have probably lifted a little earlier, and that's the problem.
You hit the fence, but yet you kept going. Did you see Pulley on the other side, know where he was?
Well, that really wasn't the concern at the time. What I was trying to do was keep it off the guardrail. I saw the guardrail coming to me, and I thought if I just hit the throttle and it just bounced it right off the guardrail instead of going over. So I saw the guardrail coming, and I just hit the throttle, and a reaction, I guess, and it did. It put it right back out in the strip again, and then my foot got caught between the accelerator and down below, further down, and the throttle hung again open, and that wasn't intentional at all. But I was just kind of cramped up in there. But that's what took place.
Well, you won the race, but then you were disqualified for crossing the line. Had the victory stood, would you have been able to make the final in the time allowed?
Well, it's very hard to say. We hurt her up pretty good, but a lot of fiberglass can be fixed in a hurry, and we could have got some pieces together, and you never know. You can patch these things pretty quick. I know we would have tried.
Okay,
Definitely.
better luck next time, Kenny.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Funny car action with Kosti Ivanov, a Bulgarian refugee who lives in Boston, against Gordy Bonin, a Canadian. Ivanov's car, the Boston Shaker. Bonin's machine, the Pacemaker, as they wait for the signal to fly. Up go the noses and down the track they go. It's a close race with Ivanov slightly ahead of Bonin, and Ivanov wins it at 234.98 miles an hour, but Bonin's car is not slowing down. The parachute hasn't opened, and he's headed for the fence. He's going towards Riverside. He's still moving through the snake fence and up against the outside fence. Bonin appears okay. He comes out of the car, a lucky man. and his parachute, for one reason or another, failed to open. Here it is again. Remember now, Ivanov is winning at 234.98 miles an hour, Bonin going about the same speed. The normal brakes won't stop the car going that fast. He throws it sideways, it goes through the netting, and slams to a final stop against the fairground's outer fence. There it is. Our crew is down at the finish line with him.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened? What
The
happened?
parachute just failed to come out and got bouncing down here and went through the safety net. Slitter side was into the chain link fence to get us stopped. One of those deals where if the parachute, it's my own fault for not getting the parachute in properly, apparently.
Did you do much damage to your car? Or?
Yeah, extensive. I mean, if we'd have won, we couldn't get it ready for next round, no way.
On the other hand, Beetle, a two-time world champion, has never tasted victory here at the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds, but his car's been exceptionally fast. They're in the line now, waiting. And Perdum babbles at the start as the Texan floorboards the Blue Max through the trap to stop the clocks, and still again under 6 seconds. 5.937 as Perdum coasts down the line. Past debris on the track. 245.23 miles an hour for the Blue Max, which apparently isn't... Oh, it's a convertible. The roof has come off. The windshield is missing. Raymond Beetle and the Blue Max crew are going to be faced with a monumental repair job to get that car ready for the final. And this graphically shows the forces that act on these cars at speeds approaching 250 miles an hour. The wind gets in, blows things right off. And in the next semifinal, pitting Billy Meyer against John Force, Meyer has had similar problems. His body cracked during the preliminary rounds, and he's worried about it collapsing. And then he blew an engine and had to make a hurried-up engine. Blue Max. The last time we saw that car, it was without a roof and a windshield and in rather tattered shape. Well, in the Blue Max pit, crews are hard at work. Kenny Bernstein, a fellow competitor who was eliminated in an earlier round, has volunteered one of his spare bodies to the Blue Max crew. They've brought it over to the Blue Max pit, and while they're sawing the top of the Blue Max off, this plastic body is being sawed off. The body from Bernstein's car is being tailored to fit. The question is of time, of safety, and will it pass inspection? We'll be back to find out. The scene is hectic in the Blue Max pit. Racing ingenuity, cutting up a tray to make reinforcing straps. Even Raymond Beetle is working. Raymond, will the car be as good being fixed this way as it would ordinarily?
Well, you know, if we had a little more time, we could fix it a lot better. I mean, if the car runs real fast again, it could possibly blow the roof off again, but I don't think so. I think we can get on there strong enough. But you know, the car just run real fast, and it just right in the lights. I just fixed to get the parachute, and it blew the windshield out, and the roof come off.
How will you anchor the new roof on the old?
We'll just pop rivet it, and then we'll put some aluminum back behind it, and we're going to put a little bit of fiberglass on it. It'll set up pretty good. I think it'll be all right.
A confident man, Raymond Beetle. He usually does not work on the car, but the crew is working furiously on the car to get the body done. Then, of course, there's that engine work that has to be done, too. Kenny Bernstein, a key man in this repair job. Kenny, how come you're letting them saw up a perfectly good body?
He's a fellow Texan from Dallas, and we got to take care of each other. So we're taking my spare body that we carry in my trailer at all times for things like this, and we're going to take the roof off of this spare body, and we're going to put it on the Blue Max on top of their car so they can go win the race.
How about fastening it on? I see the windshield posts are cut. Will it be securely on it, Kenny?
Oh, yeah, they won't run it unless it's correct. They'll fiberglass it in and pop rivet it in. It'll be brand new. I'll tell you, it'll be a nice, pretty car, blue and red.
What's a body like this cost?
Oh, a body like this, about $7 grand we're going through right now.
Will you get a check for $7,000? Body of Kenny Bernstein's car. But what about the quality of the repair work? This is Steve Gibbs, competition director of the National Hot Rod Association, who had the authority to either say yes or no on Raymond Beetle's repair job. Steve, is that repair job safe?
We feel it's safe. Our tech directors have looked at the car, and in their opinion, it is safe, and there's some good mechanics working on that car right now, and I think that the car is safe for this run, and we have all intention to let him run.
Is there any margin for error there?
I guess there's always a margin for an error, but those people have been racing for a lot of years, and our inspectors have been inspecting a lot of years, and at this point we feel comfortable with the situation.
There's Beetle's car after a fast repair job. and it looks like Beetle's going to get his run. We'll be back later for the Funny Car and Top Fuel finals, but after this message, we'll be going to San Francisco for the Chinese Acrobats of Canton. Chris Economaki at Pomona, California for the running of the 21st Winternational Drag Races. The Funny Car final coming up, starring the Blue Max with Raymond Beetle at the wheel. The Blue Max lost its top in the semifinal, and a new one has been taped on, riveted on, glued on, and everyone wonders whether it will stay on. Here you can see the kind of work that was done by the crew to make the car ready for this dramatic final event. His rival in the near lane, Billy Meyer of Waco, Texas, who's had his trouble with engines all day long. Each man has had more than his share of car problems in coming to the line for this dramatic confrontation on this quarter-mile drag strip at the fairgrounds. There are 2,500 horsepower cars ready to go at the starting line. And Beetle sideways and comes back in line. A beautiful, masterly handling job by Beetle. He got his car straight, but he loses to Meyer. And Meyer wins the Winternational Funny Car Championship. 6.529 seconds, 206 miles an hour. And Beetle coast to a stop. His roof did stay on. His speed at the end of the run, 236, 30 miles an hour faster than Meyer, who stops his smoking car alongside. A dramatic finish to an exciting day for these two gentlemen. Meyer's engine in serious trouble there. The fans just love it. The crew comes down. They're going to have to fix that car, but they could care.
3. To the semifinals. Bernstein and Armstrong are most concerned about this car. The Corvette driven by John Force. Qualifying in the number 2 spot, Force, along with his highly paid and talented crew chief, Austin Coyle, beat Ray Higley in round number 1. They were to have run Ron Correnti, but in a late afternoon qualifying session yesterday, Correnti in the far lane was against Dave Yahara. Yahara drifted across the center line into the center line lights, and then a rear-end collision at over 240 miles an hour. Both cars were essentially destroyed in this horrendous accident, but as we have seen so many times before in NHRA Championship drag racing, both drivers emerged from the wreckage unhurt.
Well, as fine a race car driver as Dave O'Hara is, I have a feeling that whatever happened to his car, he probably had no control over it.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't his fault. He said he thought he hit a light down and then it just threw him over the other lane.
In fact, Dave O'Hara, Dave, I know that when you got out of your car, you were more concerned about Ron's condition than your own.
I felt fine. I was just concerned about Ron.
Do you know what happened?
The car started drifting. Right coming into the first light, I hit the parachutes, and apparently I hit the first light, and that's what sucked me right over the other lane.
So the throttle didn't stick or anything like that?
I believe it was stuck a little bit because I was trying to get off the thing, and it just kept on going. That's when I went for the parachutes, and it hit the first light, and I think that's what sucked it right over there.
Steve, race cars can be rebuilt, but the fact that both drivers emerged unhurt is a tribute to the safety requirements in this sport.
Not only for the points battle, Brock, but as far as last year was concerned, Joe Amato owned Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein only beat Amato one time last year. Interestingly, as everybody talks about lane choice, it won't make any difference right here. There's nothing to choose between the two lanes. And I talked to both crew chiefs. I said, Armstrong, what's it going to take to win? He said an 84. I talked to Jeff Rogers in the Valvoline car for Joe Amato. I said, what's it going to take to win? He said an 83. Brock?
Well, we know it's going to be in the 80s somewhere, according to those guys, as we get ready to go. The sun beginning to set here at Pomona. Steve Evans, a great race on tap.
Absolutely. I wouldn't wager a sou either way. You're running with Kenny Bernstein. We don't see Amato. Bernstein, engine goes away. Bernstein sideways in the middle of the racetrack. Kenny Bernstein in big, big trouble. Bernstein is over the rail, on fire. We are going to rush to the scene. Brock Yates, pick it up.
All right, a tremendous crash. As you saw, the engine broke loose from Kenny Bernstein's automobile. The NHRA Safety Safari on the scene almost instantaneously, trying to get to Kenny. He's still in the race car, as the paramedics on this crew are the best in the business. Having a look at Kenny. Hopefully he is all right. Let's have another look at this as Joe Amato goes on to a victory, which of course now becomes an anticlimax to this drag race. But Amato off with a little bit better reaction time, but Bernstein in it all the way as they are head-to-head, beginning to fall back. And there you see the engine fire that caused Kenny Bernstein's crash. An explosion there at about 3/4 track as they enter the lights at over 280 miles an hour. Bernstein sideways, now fighting for control. Of course, these cars are almost impossible to control with such long wheelbases. Tires gone, hits the guardrail very hard. A big impact there. As Kenny Bernstein had crossed the racetrack, we see an instant gout of fire. Of course, that is the fuel tank being thrown loose from the race car. So very difficult to tell exactly what's happening here as we go down to have a look at what's going on. There's Dale Armstrong, very concerned, apparently talking to Kenny, so he appears to be conscious. But at this point, difficult to tell his condition.
Yeah, he said he's okay. I'm down there with Dale Armstrong. Dale just had a chance to lean into the cockpit. Is he conscious?
I just asked him if he's hurting anywhere, and he says, no, I'm okay.
And this car performed just as a top fuel dragster should. They are designed to break apart, as you see this car. The engine to leave the chassis, to get away from the driver with all of its weight. Kenny Bernstein over the rail. We have not seen a car over the rail in recent memory. I can't remember the last time. But the good news from his own crew chief, Dale Armstrong, is that he's talking to him. He says he doesn't hurt anywhere. And here yet is another look at a vicious crash.
Well, Steve, as you notice there, the roll cage, which protects Kenny Bernstein, as we watched it one more time, this horrendous slide all the way across the racetrack to impact on a gateway here. Perhaps an unfortunate hit. He might have caromed off had he not gotten into that gate, but he is out of the car and all right, and the integrity of that race car saved his life.
Kenny Bernstein is indeed out of the car. They were going to cut the roll cage off. Kenny said, I'm okay, let me out of this thing. Kenny Bernstein is a very fit man. He works out at the gym, he runs. Kenny, you are indeed okay?
I'm okay, Steve. Tell everybody I'm fine. I'm bell rung a little bit. Kind of feel like a NASCAR Cup car driver here at Atlanta, but not too bad.
And I'll bet you that Kenny will be in Daytona tomorrow for the Daytona 500 to see his driver start 20th on the grid in his NASCAR car. Nothing will stop him from doing that. We wish we could talk to Joe Amato. We can't. We're all out of time. Thank you all for joining us here live on TNN. He's okay.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade has been brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Mopar Parts and Chrysler Corporation's dealers who sell and install them. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that fresh, pure, natural taste, nothing beats a Bud. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P Sports.
He won this race in 1982. Going to try to repeat in 1984. Tim Gross for his second time in the finals. As they line up, there they go. Al Segrini gets the jump on Tim Gross right from the start, and looks like he's in a ball of fire. His blower's gone already. He's won the race in 5.96, but look at his car bounce around, completely out of control.
Wow! But that's not all!
1,800 pounds of fiberglass and steel in each lane. Two-speed transmission, a beautiful start. But look at Al Segrini. He's headed for 2 in a row. Al Segrini explodes. Segrini coming over in Poli's lane. Poli drives away from him. It looks like the 4th of July in Al Segrini's lane. For the second consecutive year, he wins the Winternationals in a ball of fire. And here he comes like a jack-in-the-box.
Out he pops, and that's exactly what the NHRA requires that escape hatch for, as one of the safety safari crew comes over to see if Segrini is all right. He apparently is. He is a winner here at the Winternationals. He got his car owner the Oscar that he had hoped for.
I think right now Al Segrini is thinking more about the 2 of these drivers being okay than he is about any victory. That may not have sunk in yet, but boy, did the crowd roar when they saw Al Segrini come out of that car unharmed.
Let's look at it one more time. Segrini does have the race in hand, actually, before the big explosion. As you can see, there he goes into the lights, and that giant shower of sparks. It looks looks as if an engine goes, but in fact, it is probably a clutch that explodes in that automobile that catches partly. It sparks some fiberglass explosion, but the entire cockpit fills with fire. Fortunately, the driver is encased in a fire suit that saved his life.
So for the second year in a row, a flaming final round victory, Al Segrini.
Well, it's getting crazy, isn't it, huh? Same as last year, repeat. You know, we had problems just before we pushed out with the clutch, and I said to Joe, something wrong in the bell housing. I did the burnout, and I stayed, had trouble getting the reverse. I knew it was dead. I said, well, I'm going to have to gamble. And I pedaled her one time and got back in it, and then just before the lights there, it went again. This is getting crazy.
I know how badly you wanted to win for Joe Paisano. You have done that, my friend. You got awfully close to Pulley. Was there any contact there?
No, I seen his fender. See, I was on fire there. I couldn't see. And then out of the car, I seen his red fender. And that's why I went back over to my lane.
All right, let's clear this area. We got more cars coming down. Congratulations again.